it's Rena with Heartbroken Designs, and today I'm making a paper bag card for my nephew for his birthday that I'm going to be mailing out, and I thought I would go ahead and show you kind of how I do this. So this is my paper bag, and the type that I buy are these Celebrate It paper bags or paper sacks from Michaels, and they're 4.7 inches by 2.8 inches. And these are at Michaels. Sometimes I cut off the top, sometimes I don't. This time I'm not. But all I do is I start off by, this is the part with the little flap. So all I do is I start off by kind of flattening that out so that there's some really nice edges. And then super easy, I just kind of fold it over and I match it. I line it up with the other side. You can, I've seen some people say that you can score it. That may make it your fold nicer, but I've tried it scored and I've tried it this way, and once you add the paper, everything looks perfect. So, and then I just go ahead and I go over everything and just make everything nice and flat. And so really, here's your card right here. So for me, this is going to be my front. This is going to be my inside. This is going to be where I'm going to add my goodie, and this is going to be my back. And so this is for my nephew. So I have not decided yet if I'm going to add ribbon, but if you were going to add ribbon, let me grab some ribbon really. Oh, here's some right here. I'm not going to use this one because this is for a boy, but if I was going to be adding a ribbon closure, then all you would do was take your ribbon and go all the way around like this, and then you could take your ATG gun or whatever kind of adhesive you want to use and tape this down, and then this would be your tie closure on this side. And you can use ATG. I don't really like to use white glue for that, so if you have one of those little tape rollers, that may be good. You're going to layer it with paper on the top anyway. This is my ATG. One of the things that I am going to do is I'm going to seal this part right here shut like this. So then I have a tiny little pocket right here. And I am going to add a goodie in here, but he loves Batman, so I'm going to put little Batman tattoos, but I don't need it to open up this wide. In the past, I've mailed out animal cookies, and I've stuck that in here, which has worked really well, or lollipops and all that different kind of stuff, and so this size of this bag works really well. But this one, I don't need it to be that big, so I'm going to use some score tape, and I'm going to close that part down. And you can put your score tape all the way, or you can just put your score tape like I am, halfway. And I'm going to varnish that before I take it off, before I take off the score tape top. And then I'm just going to peel this off right here. I really like score tape. It's very strong. If you've ever made mini albums, you know how strong score tape can be. And then I'm going to varnish it once I don't forget to varnish. So now my pocket opens. It's a very small opening, or it doesn't open as wide as it used to. And sometimes I do like to include score tape here, which I will in this case, because I don't want these poking up. But I guess if I wanted to have like 2 sections, I could always add a piece of cardstock right here to this side, and then I would have 2 openings. So, like, let's say I'm trying trying to find a tiny piece of cardstock really quickly so I can show you. So let's say I wanted to make 2 pockets on the inside. I could totally add some ATG on these sides and then stick it in right here. And then I could have 1 pocket here and 1 pocket here. So you could do that as well. But here is the basic foundation for your paper bag card. Again, you can add ribbon as a closure. I think I may add a little hole punch here and maybe right here and use some twine. I'm not really sure yet. But that's basically your basis. So now I'm going to cut my cardstock and I'm going to add all of my cut dimensions below so that you can have them. But I'm gonna go ahead and get that cut and then I'll come back so that way you're not watching me cut cardstock. Hi everyone, it's Rena again. I'm back after I have cut my cardstock. So I used 1 sheet of 2-sided cardstock, and my sheet was actually from the Georgie paper pack from Close to My Heart. And so I like to have 1 layer and then have kind of like a second layer of little matting on it. And sometimes I even like to add a 3rd layer, but in this case I'm just going to have 1 layer. So this is my paper bag. I haven't secured anything down yet, but it's going to have this back layer, then this top layer on it right here. So it kind of has that little matting effect. And I like to cut mine down just a little bit so that this white edge shows, so it kind of looks like it's 3 layers when it's really just 2. So this first mat is 4 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then this one is 4 by 4 1/4, and then I'm just gonna tape that down like that. And then I decided I would just have 1 on the back. So this one's 4 1/4 by 4 1/2, and I'm just gonna mat it down like that. And because it's 2-sided, the paper was double-sided, all I'm doing is just flipping back and forth between the styles I like. So I haven't really decided if I want it to be like this yet, or if I'm going to do this. It also is going to depend on my image, and I am going to be using a digital image for the Craft Your Passion design team that I'm on. So once I print out that image and color it up, then I may decide, I'll figure out which side I want to go ahead and use. So that's that. That's the outside and the back. And then on the inside, I have cut the paper for my little pocket right here, or to cover the back part right there. And then I did the same thing, oops, wrong one. I did the same thing over here. So again, it can be, it's coordinating paper, and I like to mat this one as well. But I haven't decided again if I want to do what side I'm going to actually do, so I could do it like this also. And then this will be where I put my little tag in here. And then I did something a little different on this side. Normally I just do like a full sheet of designer paper and then I add a matting of white so that I can write my sentiment. But I think this time I'm going to do a smaller, do a little different layout. So have both colors and then add my stamp sentiment in white, but probably as a pop-up. So those are my cardstock or my designer paper elements that I'm going to add. So I'm going to go ahead and add those now. And before you add your paper, you really have to decide how you're going to close your envelope or how you're going to have your paper bag card close. Because right now, if I were to add it, there would really be no closure. The other thing you could probably do, and I may decide to do this, is have magnetic closure. So you could also do that. So what I would do is if I decide to do magnetic closure, I would stick my magnet right here, and then I would cover it with my cardstock. And then I would stick my magnet in here, and then I would probably add just a tiny little piece of paper, like either white cardstock or maybe a little designer paper in here, to cover that. Because if you add your magnet on this side and then cover this side with cardstock, it's going to close like this. And this side will still stay open. So you would have to add your magnet right here. So now that I'm saying that to you, I think I'm going to add magnets. So let me get some magnets. Here are my magnets, and I get these on Amazon. There are tons of different places you can get them. They have the little positive and negative, and so you just have to get one positive and one negative. And they have a little bit of a sticky side underneath the little white paper. That side's sticky, so you just kind of peel that part off. So you just pop them out. Sometimes it's easier than other days. So you pop that out. So there's my positive, and I'm going to pop out my negative. And normally what I like to do is put them together, oops, like this. So the paper is sticking out, and then I can peel the paper and stick it where I want it to stick. So I'm going to peel this one, and I'm going to stick this one right here, and then I'm going to take this side . Okay, so here is my magnet. I have one magnet here, and then I added the other magnet, like I said, on this side so that it closes. So now I have my closure. So now I don't have to worry about a ribbon, but if you were going to do ribbon, again, you have to add your ribbon closure before you add your matting. And so now I'm going to add my matting, and I am pretty sure that I'm going to go with this on the back, this one like this, and then this one like this, so that way I can color up my little Batman image. I'm going to use my ATG gun, and all I'm going to do is just layer everything together. Sometimes my tape gets a little clogged. I don't know why, but sometimes it does. And I like to go around the edges and make sure that I got enough sticky around the edges, and then I just do a couple of strips down the middle. First one, this is the second layer mat. And I just center it right in the center of that first mat. And then this one is the back layer. So you can see my front and my back is already done, and it's going to have my magnet closure, which is, I think, super cool. Okay, so now I'm going to do the inside. I want to make sure I don't get confused by what goes where. This one goes over here, and that one goes over there. This one goes here, this one goes here, this one goes here, and goes here. And I guess because I did this on the outside, I'll do this one on the inside. So first I'm going to add this piece right here. So then once I add that piece, I can add tape here and close my pocket. here. And now I am going to just add a little bit of score tape, and I'm going to add it right here on the edges. You could definitely do this with ATG. I've done it with ATG before, but I have my score tape out and it's a little stronger. And this is for my nephew who is a little bit tinier, so I want to make sure that if he pulls things in and out of the pocket that it'll stay. So I'm going to use my score tape. And I should have burnished that before I pulled it off, and I didn't, but it's going to get burnished right now, so I think it should be just fine. And I always make sure that there's no glue or no little score tape sticking over. And I'm just going to close that up and burnish that with my scoring tool. Okay, so now I have my little tiny pocket here, so I can add a tag. I'm going to add these pieces. And I'm going to cover, this is where you're going to hide your magnet when you add your designer paper. And really, I need to cut this down a little bit, because if I add it right here, I sized it the same way. So, and I know I already added score tape. So this is, I think it's 4.5. Where's my ruler? This is 4.5 by 2.5. So I'm gonna this is 2.5. I'm going to go down 1/4. Oh, that's not the side I want to do, because it's like this. So this is 4.5. So I'm gonna go to 4.25, because I want to have a little bit of an edge. So that way, what I did was, when I originally cut it, I cut this sheet, this cardstock at 4.5, so it went to the edges of the outside matting, and I didn't want that, so I cut it down by 1/4 so that it would fit in there, and then you'd see the white on the outside, then you'd see this paper right here, and then this last matting, so that there's a little bit of so you have your matted look right there. Okay, so now I'm going to add this side. And this side, I think I'm going to do it like this. And again, normally on that side, I would do a white background, because then I could add my stamp, my sentiment, my stamp sentiment. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do the designer cardstock. And then I'm going to cut out my sentiment and attach it. And I don't know if I'm going to cut it out with my Cricut and then just attach my sentiment, or if I'm going to cut out a shape and then stamp my sentiment on the shape. I don't know, we'll see. We shall see, but I think that this will give me the ability to pop it up with either pop dots or foam. I can cut it out in foam. I haven't really decided yet, but that should be super cute. Oops, I didn't get to layer that exactly perfectly as I wanted to. So okay, still not happy with that. think what I'm going to do is just leave a tiny little bit of space in there. So it looks like it's separate. Okay, so this is my card, my Paperbag card matted. So there's the front, there's the inside, and here's a little pocket right here. So I could stick something in like that, and of course it would have to be shorter so that it could close, but it would fit a little tiny tag in there. And this is the side where I'm going to write my sentiment, and I think what I'm going to do is cut out a shape and add it like this on top with my sentiment on there. I just don't know what exactly yet that I'm going to do. And then this is my inside right here, and then here's where I put my magnet. I put it on the outside layer so that this whole thing would close. If I would have put it here, then only this part would have closed. I am going to add some score tape right here because I don't like how that pops out. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit. Which normally I would have added before I added my magnet, because now it's going to be a little bit tougher with the magnet already on there. I'm just going to add a little tiny strip there, and a little tiny strip there. Burnish that down. So now what I did was I just added some score tape so that I don't have these little flaps poking up. But again, earlier I kind of mentioned that you could add a piece of cardstock in there, attach it to these pages, and then you'd have two little slots, but I don't need two little slots, I just need one. So the only thing I need to do is cover up my magnet. So I am just going to cover my magnet with some white cardstock because my nephew won't really understand. When he sees it, it won't be a big deal to him. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of cardstock, a little tiny piece of cardstock, white piece of cardstock. I don't think it really matters. I'm just going to cut it an inch. About 1 inch, and just stick it in there. And then that way my magnet will be covered. And this way he will not kind of be poking at it. But you could add a little designer paper in there. That would be cute. So when you would open your pocket, you'd actually have designer paper covering that part in there as well. Completely up to you, however you want to do it. Like I said, I'm just going to add. There we go. I just added a little piece of white cardstock. And you can kind of see the bump of the magnet, but that's completely fine because I'm going to add little Batman tattoos in there, temporary tattoos, and so I know he's going to love that. And he's going to pull those out, and then he'll probably just kind of toss the card. So there you go. So there's your Paperbag card from the Paperbag to matting, and then you can add any elements that you want to add. If you want to do a third layer of matting, which I do sometimes, and then add a stamped image, or if you want to cut out a sentiment and then add that. I have these love you to the moon and back little circles I cut out for my Cricut, so you could add something like that. Oh, and then I have these CC design stamps that I've already colored up. So you could pop dot that on there. I have this one also. You could add that on there. Completely up to you. You could add some ribbon, some lace, lots of embellishment. And then the only thing you'd want to make sure you did was you want to make sure that you added your little tag. Or you could add a little gift card in there. And then if you wanted to just stamp a sentiment, I would say go with white. But if not, if you're going to cut something out and then stick it on, you could do that too. And then, of course, you have your little goodie. And I really like this magnetic closure. This was the first time I'd done that, so I'll probably do that again. Okay, so there's your paper bag card. Thanks for stopping by.